The goal of the first shin box progression is to establish hip range of motion and then control of that range of motion at the endpoints. So rotating your right leg out and your left leg in, hold that end range position sitting as tall as possible through your torso and breathe for 3 strong breaths. Then use your hands on the ground to help you actively rotate to the opposite side and do the same thing, sitting tall, getting your knees down, and breathe for 3 strong breaths. As you get comfortable with this flow going back and forth, we're ready to move on to the second progression. Some positional keys to think about are that your feet do not move throughout the movement. The movement comes from your hips, so your feet stay in the same place on the ground. And when you get to the end range, think about making a triangle between your front shin bone and your 2 thigh bones. In the second progression, the goal is to work through the range of motion that you've developed from progression 1 and then own it moving from your core and your torso without any assistance from your hands. As you get to the end range, continue to hold those isometrics for 3 strong breaths, and then without using any hand help, transition to the other side, minding that your feet stay in the same position and creating your triangle at the other end. Again, hold for 3 breaths while maintaining a strong position. The goal of the third shin box progression is to improve hip separation. We're going to go through our transition. We're going to move one hip at a time, not moving the other hip until the range of motion of the first hip is maxed out. So as we go all the way to the other side, we find our side sitting position and then we externally rotate the right hip. The left hip will follow. Then that left hip will stay there as the right one externally rotates. Then the left hip follows again. The goal of the fourth shin box progression is to add sagittal plane motion to our hip rotation. So finding your end range position, hinge forward, keeping a strong torso position, and then press up without using momentum through the front shin. This is hip extension. Hold that extension for a moment and then slowly control your hips back down through flexion and come out of your hinge. Then create a strong transition going all the way to the opposite side. Again, finding a strong hinge, leaning forward with a good straight back line. Press through the shin to lift and extend your hips. Hold for a moment, breathing and feeling the end range extension, then slowly sitting back down and putting your hips back through flexion, controlling yourself all the way to the floor. The goal of the fifth progression is to achieve end range hip extension with the down leg while transitioning with balance through a smooth open chain hip motion with the contralateral side. So rotating the chest towards the down leg, smoothly step through into a lunge position, then hinge back through flexion on the down leg and control yourself back down through flexion and external rotation. Then transitioning to the other side, do the same thing. You may need to reset yourself because there's a lot more movement in this one. So hinging forward, drive through the shin to lift and extend your hips, then smoothly balance and step through into a lunge position, which is internal rotation and extension with the down leg. Hinge back for a little flexion, find your balance, and smoothly step the open leg back, and then control yourself back through your hinge. Good work, you did it all.